I'm recording this because someone is using my body at night. I saw it on my camera, and the most terrifying part is it looks exactly like me. I don't know if anyone will ever hear this recording, but I can't keep these thoughts inside my head anymore. I'm saying this because I'm no longer sure that I'm alone. It all started with something very small, so small that I laughed it off at first. One morning, I woke up and went into the kitchen. The kettle was hot. The water inside was moving. Light steam was rising. I just stood there for a long time. I knew I hadn't turned it on. I told myself maybe I had gotten up half asleep to drink water. People forget things like that all the time. But my body didn't accept that explanation because I had no memory at all of getting up that night. Then things started getting worse. One day I came back from work and saw my shoes placed in front of the door. I always put my shoes on the rack. Always. I picked them up and stared at them for a long time. It felt like they weren't my shoes, like someone had bought another pair just like mine and left them there. That same night, I looked at the clock properly for the first time. 11:40 p.m. I was sitting on the couch looking at my phone. I looked back at the clock again. 12:03 a.m. I couldn't remember a single minute in between. I told myself maybe I had fallen asleep, but my phone was still in my hand. The screen was on. 2 days later, I decided to install a camera because I saw something in the bathroom mirror. Handprints on the shower glass. Wet. Fresh. I live alone. I've always lived alone. I set the camera in the corner of my bedroom. It covered the entire room. First night, nothing. Second night, nothing. Third night, at 2:17 a.m., the camera shows me getting out of bed. I walk very slowly. I don't look at the camera. I open the door and leave the room. In the morning, I wake up in my bed. I watch the footage. I see myself, and I realize I have no idea where I went. I didn't watch that footage just once, not twice, at least 10 times. I was walking exactly like myself, the same posture, the same movement of my shoulders, the same way of grabbing the door handle. But one thing was wrong. While I was walking, my lips were moving slightly. I know I never talk to myself when I'm alone. I slowed the footage down. Matching the movement of my lips, I tried to read the words. 3 words. It's getting late. My back went cold. I didn't go to work that day. I stayed inside the apartment all day. I watched myself, what I was doing, when I blinked, when I breathed, as if I was guarding myself. That night, I went to sleep again, camera on. 1:55 a.m. I was awake. 2:04 a.m. I was awake. 2:11 a.m. I closed my eyes. Then, cut. Morning. In the footage I saw that at 2:19 a.m. I got up again. This time I went into the bathroom. I didn't turn on the light. I stood in front of the mirror in the dark. I didn't look at the mirror. I just stood there. 2 minutes. Then I slowly raised my head toward the mirror. On the camera's audio, a sound was captured. Very softly. Okay. I couldn't finish watching that footage. I closed the laptop and went into the bathroom. I stood in front of the mirror for a long time. Nothing happened. I told myself, this is all stress, a sleep problem, micro sleep. But under my eyes in the mirror, there were dark circles. I can't remember the last time I slept properly. The next day, I went to the office. During lunch break, I got a message on my phone. Unknown number. The message was just one line. Don't sleep tonight. I put the phone down. I told myself, spam. But in the evening, another message. Same number. After 2 a.m. tonight, I'm going out. I was alone at home. I typed, "Who are you?" The reply came almost instantly. You. I dropped the phone. That night, I didn't sleep. Lights on, camera on. 1:55 a.m. 2:03 a.m. 2:10 a.m. I was sitting on the bed. I hadn't moved, but on the camera at 2:19 a.m., I stood up. I was still sitting on the bed. On the live footage, I saw myself getting out of bed. The sound inside my chest just stopped. I looked in front of me. I was still sitting there, but on the screen, I was walking toward the door. I couldn't move. The phone was shaking in my hands. On the screen, I was grabbing the door handle. I looked in front of me. The door was still closed. I looked back at the screen. On the screen, the door was opening. I whispered, "No, no, no." My body was still sitting on the bed, but on the screen, I walked out. In the camera frame, I disappeared. 2:21 a.m. I was still sitting there. I ran to the door. The door was closed. I checked the lock. Locked. I slowly opened the door and looked into the hallway. Empty. Silent. No one there. I closed the door and sat down on the floor. I knew I wasn't alone. The next morning, I woke up in my bed. I can't remember when I fell asleep. My body hurt like I had been walking all night. I went into the bathroom. I stood in front of the mirror. I was there, but my reflection moved 1 second late. I nodded. The reflection nodded after me. I smiled. The reflection smiled after me. I put my hand on the mirror. The glass wasn't cold. It was slightly warm. I pulled my hand back. That day at the office, a coworker asked me, "Did you call me last night?" I said, "No." He showed me his call log. 2:34 a.m. My name. I checked my phone. Outgoing call. 2 minutes, 11 seconds. I don't know what I said to him. He only said, "You didn't say anything. There was just the sound of breathing." Then the line disconnected. I couldn't work the rest of that day. When I got home, I turned on all the lights. I closed all the doors. I turned the camera on. I told myself, I'm not sleeping tonight. 1:40 a.m. I was sitting on the couch. 2:05 a.m. My eyes were burning. 2:12 a.m. I started to doze off slightly. Suddenly, the lights went out. The entire apartment went dark. The camera was still recording. I turned on my phone's flashlight. In the corner of the room, I saw a shadow. The shadow wasn't moving, but it was standing like me. Same height, same posture. I said, "Who are you?" The shadow didn't speak, but inside my head, a voice came. I went out early. I stepped back. My back hit the wall. I closed my eyes. 1 second. 2 seconds. When I opened my eyes, the shadow was gone. The lights turned back on. The camera timestamp, 2:19 a.m. I never turned the camera off again. Day and night, always on. Because I had realized the moment I can't see, that's the moment it takes my place. I stopped going to the office. I stopped answering friends' calls because I was afraid maybe it wouldn't be me talking anymore. One afternoon, I was standing in the kitchen. Suddenly, from behind me, I heard my own voice very clearly. "You look tired." I turned around. No one was there. But my phone's voice recorder was on. I played it. I heard my own voice, the same line, the same tone. I threw up. That same night, I shoved a chair against the front door. I locked the windows. I closed the bathroom door. I sat on my bed, facing the camera. 1:59 a.m., 2:07 a.m., 2:14 a.m., 2:18 a.m. I was awake. I didn't move. 2:19 a.m. In the camera frame, I stood up, but I was still sitting on the bed. On the screen, I saw I was slowly walking toward myself. Inside my chest, it felt like my heart was stopping. On the screen, I came and stood in front of me. I looked into my own face. My eyes were empty. No smile. I moved my lips. On the screen, I said, "You don't need to exist anymore." Suddenly, in front of my eyes, everything went black. The camera fell, a loud crash, then cut. I woke up, lying on the floor. All the lights were on. The chairs were back where they were. The camera was set back in the corner. Timestamp, 6:03 a.m. When I tried to get up, I saw red marks on my wrist, like someone had been gripping me hard. I stood in front of the mirror. This time, the reflection didn't lag. This time, it moved perfectly. Too perfectly. I whispered, "Are you me now?" The reflection moved its lips and said, "No, you are me now." Inside my head, a memory forced its way in. I saw not me, it. It was walking down the street in my body, working in my name, living in my name. And me, I was getting trapped here. Inside my head, the final words came. One of us has to stay. I don't know how long I sat on the floor. Time wasn't moving straight anymore. When I looked at the clock, it felt like the same minute kept coming back. 6:03, 6:03, 6:03. I stood up. My legs felt heavy, like my body wasn't fully mine anymore. I walked toward the door. The chairs were still jammed against it, just like I had left them. But inside my head, a memory came back clearly. I had moved the chairs myself during the night. I opened the door and stepped into the hallway. The elevator doors were open. The light inside was on. I knew I shouldn't go down, but my feet moved anyway. I stepped into the elevator. The doors closed. I didn't press any button. The elevator started descending on its own. The digital display, -1, -2, -3. My building doesn't have this many basement floors. The doors opened. I was standing in a corridor, exactly like my apartment floor. The same carpet, the same walls, the same lights, just a little older. Scratches on the walls, a lot of them. I knew this place. I had been here before. I stopped in front of a door, my name on the nameplate, but the handwriting was slightly different. I pushed the door open. I went inside. Everything was the same, but the mirror was gone. Where the mirror should have been, there was only a blank wall, and in the center of the wall, a deep indentation, shaped like a human body, like someone had gone inside the wall. Inside my head, the voice came, "You're late." I turned around. It was standing there, looking like me, exactly like me. The same face, the same eyes, the same voice. Except in its eyes, there was no sleep, no exhaustion. I said, "Who were you?" It smiled and said, "I'm the version of you that managed to get out of here." I understood. I hadn't gotten out. I had just been replaced. It said, "This place doesn't take people. It borrows them." I kept backing away. My back hit the wall, right on the scratch marks. The wall was soft, warm, breathing. I said, "Then what will I be?" It slowly walked toward me, reached out, grabbed my wrist, right where the red marks were. "You will hold the place." In front of my eyes, all my memories started to blur. My name, my job, my city, everything was coming undone. I made one last attempt. I whispered, "Will no one know?" It said, "You won't even know when you disappeared." I tried to look toward the mirror, but there is no mirror here, because it isn't needed anymore. The wall is the mirror now. I see. I am slowly going into the wall. The scratch marks are becoming fresh, one by one. My voice is fading away. The last sentence I hear, in my own voice, "It's okay now." I don't know how long it's been. I only know I am standing here, inside this wall, outside of time. Sometimes new people come. They stand in front of the door. They think about whether to go inside. I can't speak. I only make new marks on the wall. I keep counting, because one of us has to stay, so another one can leave. If you ever suddenly hear your own voice saying something you didn't say, if the reflection in the mirror moves 1 second late, then you'll know I am still here. And you're not complete yet.